Ora,
Okay.
abbiamo in linea Monica Broniecki, che è il vice sindaco del comune di Unley. Good afternoon, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for taking this call from Radio Italia 1 Adelaide.
Thank you, Antonio. It's very nice to be invited.
Yes. So the reason why, in particular, this occasion wanting to speak to you is that the Unley City Council recently flew the Italian flag on the 2nd of June, which is the Festa della Repubblica, the Italian National Day. Why is that something that a council would do? By the way, thank you for doing that. It's greatly appreciated by the community.
Well, first of all, happy Republic Day belatedly for the 2nd of June. To you and to your listeners and to the Italian community more broadly. We were very pleased to fly the Italian flag at the front of the council. And we did it we raised it on the 2nd of June and we kept it up for the weekend. And we appreciate that there's a strong historical Italian presence in the city of Unley. And look, we fly flags for other countries too. We encourage local and national pride to mark significant events in our community.
Good.
So that's why we flew your flag and fly other flags too.
And as I've announced, it was the only one. We've started with the Unley City Council. As you said, there is a strong historical presence. And even now, the Unley Mensa has been going for a long time, run through people like Antonietta Perrotta and other volunteers. It's an important service.
Yep.
So now that name, Broniecki. Am I pronouncing it correctly? It sounds
Broniecki.
like it's Central or Eastern European. Is that correct?
It is. It's a Polish name, but my parents, that's a married name. My parents actually were migrants from Europe, and after the Second World War, they came here to start over. And they were German. And they had the opportunity to go to Canada or come here, and they decided to come to Australia, which I think in hindsight was a very, very good decision. I mean, Australia is a wonderful place to be. So yes, and I remember when I was growing up, how many sort of first generation migrants there were. And particularly when we went to places like the Central Market, which, you know, when my mother closed the shop, on the occasions when she wasn't too tired, I used to just love going to the Central Market. And there were a lot of Italian stall holders there, all, you know, different backgrounds, but a lot of Italian stall holders. And there was Lucia's as well, which we absolutely loved. So yes, I think when I was growing up, one of the wonderful things was cappuccino coffee and Italian food like pasta and calamari, and it was Italian food was very, very, very popular when I was young, and it has had a very, very strong and positive influence on the Australian way of life, in my view.
Okay, important, and so many others, and the German presence is very strong in South Australia, obviously in Barossa, but also in the city.
Yes, we used to go to the Polish butcher and a German butcher at the markets, at the Central Market, and we used to always buy our sausage meat from the German and the Polish butcher. So that was a fun thing then too. Yeah, so there are lots of different backgrounds, people from first generation migrants who had stalls at the Central Market, and you know, just was you know, gave me an appreciation of how diversity is wonderful.
Yes. Well, while we're on that note, have you visited your parents' home place in Germany?
I visited a couple of times. I think yes, Australia is a long way away, but yes, and when I go overseas, I appreciate so much more what we have in Australia and what people have built up here. I'm so glad that I live here and not in Europe. I mean, Europe is wonderful from a historical point of view, but yes, it's Australia that I really love, and it does give me a chance to practice my German, which is not as probably as good as what it could be, because I don't have a lot of German-speaking people around me, but nevertheless, you know, it just gives you an appreciation of what Australia provides.
Yes, and the culture, yes. So how did you get involved in the council? Have you been there for long now?
This is my second term, just started my second term. So I became involved in local government when I retired. And it's something definitely that I couldn't have done while I was working. And I feel very privileged that I was elected for a second term, and I have now had the opportunity to be deputy mayor. So it's just been an incredible learning curve, because there's so much in local government that you need to learn about when you're a councillor. But I've really enjoyed that, and I've now have a greater appreciation of what local government does. Really, the level of skill and commitment of the staff here, and particularly the Unley Council, is really exceptional. So I just I feel very, very lucky that I'm where I am at the moment.
Yes, you just mentioned. Yes, you mentioned the range of activities. I used to hear that the council is just about roads, rates, and rubbish.
Yes,
but maybe not, or not anymore.
It's a very, very common perception. Things have evolved over time. We provide a lot of services that are required under legislation through the state government. So, and the federal government, because aged care services are funded by the federal government. So we provide a whole raft of services that we're actually mandated to provide, plus some additional ones that we do ourselves. So aged care services to enable older residents to stay in their own home, the Unley Museum, arts and cultural development, animal management, youth development, the community centres. Like, we've got 4 community centres, and they provide a whole host of services that, you know, it's a very long list that caters for virtually everybody. It's very comprehensive. Community transport, economic development, library services. We have 2 libraries in the city of Unley, environmental health services, and children's immunisation services, and flu vaccinations for people over 65, and that's free for people over 65. So we provide a whole host of services that goes beyond roads, rates, and rubbish. I'll just talk a little bit more specifically about some of the programs we offer, so people kind of get a flavour of what we do. Our libraries, for example, they provide a range of programs, educational programs for babies and toddlers, which is very, very foundationally important. Exploratory programs in the science and maths area for young people, and technical help for older people, and that's a big thing as well. Yeah. We also have a very strong history and culture focus with our museum and gallery displays. The Fullerton Park Community Centre has a Hughes Gallery, and at the moment we've got the All Connections to Unley art exhibition, and that's the prize winner of that will be announced tomorrow, and that's where local residents have the opportunity to you know, put their artwork in for into a competition, essentially. So that's a very positive thing. The Unley Museum has a number of exhibitions. At the moment, they've got the Bars and Brews exhibition. And I did a cycling tour 2 weeks ago in conjunction with the Unley Museum and the Unley Bicycle User Group, looking at the historical sites where we had bars or breweries established in the city of Unley. And that was a huge amount of fun. So we started at the museum and looked at the exhibition. And then we wove through the streets of Unley at all these different sites. And there's a lot of history there. And we wound up at Suburban Brew to have a beer there. And that was a huge amount of fun. So there are those sorts of things that are very relevant to our local history. And we also, if we look at the community centres, we have fitness sessions there, arts and crafts, other skill-based groups where people can meet and socialise and relax. So, and that's serviced by a lot of volunteers. We have over 200 volunteers in the city of Unley. So without them, we couldn't run a lot of those programs. And a repair cafe where we repair electrical items and repair jewellery and sharpen knives at the Clarence Park Community Centre. So there's a whole host of things that the council does that goes beyond roads, rates and rubbish. Very important though, roads, rates and rubbish.
Indeed. So you mentioned along the way a technical support for older people. So you teach them how to use computers. Is that what it is?
Yes. Okay. So the library does that. It's an exceptionally important service that they provide for older people. That those people who just missed out when they were working on. So when I started working, computers were just coming in then, and then I went to more of a desk job, and I felt really lucky because I became familiar with all of that. But unless you have those sort of skills these days, it's a very challenging thing to navigate. So it's a wonderful program that the libraries run for older people.
Okay, so I can see why you say that it's privilege is an interesting area to be involved with in the community. Is it onerous? Is it something that people should maybe consider going into? You said you've done it once you retired.
Yes, look, anybody who why I think it's good getting involved in council or council type of activities or volunteering or anything is because it gives you an appreciation of the world that's beyond just your own personal sphere. And I think, and when you're helping people, whatever that might be, you're helping yourself as well. I mean, that social connection is absolutely vitally important, and we're hardwired for it as well. So I help people on a whole variety of issues. So it could be footpaths, street sweeping, planning issues, fencing. For example, we helped one resident with navigating through the system about a fence required along the railway line where she is at Kings Park. So, there are those sorts of things we help with. Street signage, tree detritus, traffic management, a whole range of things. And in my role, for example, I got involved, and I didn't have to do this, I suppose, but it's something I really wanted to do. I run a cycling group for older people from the front of the Unley Community Centre each Tuesday morning. And we ride about 20 kilometres, and it's very good socially, but it also helps with fitness. That cycling or walking movement is extremely important as you get older, and it builds your confidence as well, for those people who are riding. So, and two of the cyclists, they do a balanced class inside the Unley Community Centre before they come on the ride, and then they come out and off we go for a ride. So, you know, it gives you an opportunity to get involved in a variety of things that actually builds social capital.
That's indeed important. I was thinking about social capital as you were talking. Yeah, and I introduced you as Deputy Mayor, but you're in fact an acting Mayor at the moment. And does that, what even being Deputy Mayor, bring extra work on top of the day-to-day council?
It does.
Job?
It definitely does. So you really then are the spokesman or spokesperson for council. So it does involve going to a lot more events, speaking at events, connecting with people. It is more workload, that is for sure, but it's enjoyable. For me, I just meet so many interesting people, and then when you do that, you begin to connect the dots and get some synergies in terms of, you know, what you want to achieve within the council. So it's very beneficial to be connected with, you know, with local people.
Okay, well, I'd say again, thank you very much to Councillor Acting Mayor Monica Broniecki from the Unley City Council. Again, thank you for flying the flag, and thank you for giving us these insights into the activities that you're involved with and promoting and supporting.
You're most welcome, Antonio. Thank you for asking me.